Дмитрий Погоржевский, телекомпания НТВ.
Dmitry Pogorzelski, NTV.
Вопрос к обоим
It's a
президентам.
question to both presidents. If you allow Mr. Bush, you partially answer. You talked about, issues of strategic security. You talked about the future. In this connection, could you tell us anything about what you talked about, the expansion of NATO? Thank you.
I did. I said I thought that was a wise thing for NATO to expand so long as nations met their obligations and fulfilled their, met what's called the MAP process. I said yesterday in Poland, I felt like a secure border for Russia, a border with safe and friendly nations is positive. And I expressed my government's position very plainly. And the president, of course, had a reaction, which I'm sure he'll give you right now. I thought he was going to give it to you right now.
Сейчас изложу.
Yeah, I'm going to lay it out for you. I'm going to lay it out for you.
Я вам сейчас зачитаю.
Look, I'm going to read to you.
Я вам сейчас зачитаю.
I'm going to read to you
Недавно рассекреченное.
something which was recently declassified.
Собственно говоря,
Speaking for myself, this was printed a while back, but there's a document, attached addendum documents which were secret. Copy, declassified, it was top secret. Look, here it is.
нота
This is a note
советского правительства
of the Soviet government from 1954 sent to the countries of NATO.
написано следующее.
Here's what it says.
Руководствуясь неизменной
The leadership
миролюбивой внешней политикой,
holding to its inalienable policy
советское правительство
and taking into account all the tensions, the Soviet government announces its intention to enter into discussions with NATO countries about its participation in NATO, with the North Atlantic Treaty Organization.
А вот ответ.
And this was the answer. Look, here's the answer.
Так, советское
All right, here we go.
правительство
The
предложило
Soviet government proposed
расширение
they're talking about the widening of the NATO pact and what they're going to do about bringing Soviet Union. That there is no need to stress the completely unrealistic nature of such a proposal from the Soviet Union. That's the answer that NATO gave.
Значит,
So what we're talking about here,
помните,
you remember
год назад приняли,
about a year ago,
может быть, на вопрос
I
о том,
think somebody asked a question about what's your attitude, is it possible that Russia is going to join in NATO or not? I said, why not?
бывшая госсекретарь
And right away, Mrs. Albright, former Secretary of State, she was someplace on a trip to Europe. She said, look, we're not talking about this right now.
Вы понимаете, дело в том, что
Look, you understand that
мы не относимся
we're not, our attitude toward NATO is not as one towards an enemy organization. Of course not.
Я очень благодарен
And I'm very
президенту
grateful to the President of the United States
наконец-то
that finally,
территории США
from the territory of the United States, these words were heard. This is very important for us. We value this. When a president of a great power says that he wants to see Russia as a partner and maybe even as an ally,
это дорогого стоит.
this is worth so much to us.
Если это так,
But if that's the case,
тогда мы же задаемся вопросом.
then look, we ask ourselves a question. Look, this is a military organization. Yes, it's military.
Не хотят.
They don't want us there. They don't want us there. It's moving towards our border. Yes, it's moving towards our border. Why?
Вот,
So
вот что лежит в основе.
this is the foundation of all our concerns, not just to bring it in or not bring it in or accept NATO or not accept NATO. Look, look, the positive feeling that we now have developed today with President Bush. This could be a separate subject of discussion because, you know, Russia is cooperating with NATO. We have an agreement. We have association. We have various accords and treaties,
Полагал, что и
JPC,
нет необходимости.
and there's no need to fire up this whole situation.
Mr.